Hey guys, it's Adrian over BHA here, bringing you a new video. All right, so the great folks over at Euki, that's EUKI, sent me over one of their brand new solar-powered Wi-Fi security cameras to show you guys. And we're going to see what all we can do with it. Now, the one thing you need to note is it's not actually available, or at least not listed on their company website. We'll have a link to their website in the description below, but if you're looking for this camera, you're going to want to pick it up on Amazon. So I'll also have a link to their Amazon storefront so you can see what special they currently have running on this particular camera. In the meantime, let's see what all we can do with it. Here we go.
Alright, so let's do a quick run through of everything we're going to cover in this video. For starters, let's unbox the camera and the solar panel. Once that's done, then we are ready to basically get them both installed outside on my house. Once we've got them installed, then we are ready to get them added into the Cloudedge app on my phone. The next thing we will do will be to go over the config options in the app. And lastly, I'll just kind of give you my final thoughts. So let's get started. Alright, so here we are. We're fixing to unbox the device. And as you can see, there's tons of information on the outside of the box. It gives you all the specs as well as the contents of the box. But if we can get this thing opened up here, first things first, we of course get the instructions on basically how to set this thing up. Then we got the solar panel here. Now this uses micro USB to connect to the camera to charge that battery. Next, we got the mounting brackets for both the camera and the solar panel, including the screws and everything needed to get those mounted. It also comes with a power cord, basically just a USB cord where you can charge the battery using regular power if you want, if you don't want to use the solar panel. Or if you just want to set it up and you need to get some power to that battery to set it up, you can plug it in just to a regular USB port. Last but not least, we got the Wi-Fi camera itself. Now this is a pretty lightweight camera. Now we've seen this kind of design on several other Wi-Fi cameras. There's even a Reolink camera. I think Vacos makes one. They're all about that same size and style. It's kind of interesting how they all do that. Alright, so for the specs on this thing, I couldn't find a lot of information about it, but the main things you're going to want to note is obviously this has a built-in floodlight. This is a Wi-Fi floodlight camera. And of course it does support motion activation for that light. This has 2.4 gigahertz on the Wi-Fi, so make sure that your home Wi-Fi setup does support 2.4 gigahertz because this camera will not run on 5 gig. But that's pretty standard for most cameras. It does support two-way audio, which will give you the ability to talk to the person on camera using the Cloudedge app, so that's pretty cool. It also supports full color night vision, which has become pretty popular. I've seen that on a lot of cameras lately. It's kind of interesting how they do that. But that's about it on the specs. Let's move on to the next step and get this thing installed. Alright, so my plan is to install this on the back side of my house. I'll have an area that's not really covered, and this kind of makes it easy where I don't have to run any lines or anything, because with the solar panel I can just mount both of these right here and I'm good to go. Get it connected to my Wi-Fi, should be good, right? So you can kind of see the area that it will cover here. Should have a nice viewing area of this space. So for installing it, basically I have the camera mounted underneath. And I kind of put the solar panel on the outside edge of the house there. That way you can get plenty of light, sunlight from the sun. I probably need to figure out something better to do with all the extra wires. So these solar panels, they always give you a nice, really long USB cable. So that, depending on where you mount the camera, you can mount the solar panel somewhere where it's going to get a lot of sunlight, way far away from the camera if need be, just to make sure that it can charge that battery. But the downside is when you don't mount it far away, then you have all this extra wire that you got to figure out something to do with. Let's go ahead and move on to the next step, and we'll get this thing added into the Cloudedge app. Alright, so here we are in the Cloudedge app on my phone. We are going to click on Add Device here. Now this is a battery camera, so that's the first selection up here at the top. We can click on that. Next, you need to put the camera in pairing mode. Now in order to do that, there are a couple of buttons on the bottom of the camera. Once you have the camera powered on, if you just hold that button down for a few seconds, it's on the bottom underneath the waterproof seal. The camera LED will start flashing blue. That's kind of how you know it's in pairing mode. So it's not, so that's pretty simple. Next up is the Wi-Fi. Now again, this has to be 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi. So make sure that your phone is on the right SSID that supports 2.4 gigahertz. Once you've done all that, then it is ready to scan a QR code with the camera itself. So we got a QR code here. We'll hold this in front of the camera lens. It should scan it. It makes a nice little noise. And basically that's it. You can see it starts the scan process, and there it goes, finishing up the connection. Looks like connection is successful. We can hit next through most of this. Let's keep going to where we can change the name. I think I'm going to call this just back Euki Cam for now. But that's about it for getting it added to the app. Let's go ahead and move on to the next step, and we will go through the config options available in the app. Okay, so here we are in the app, and right off the bat, you got your ability to take snapshots right here, use the two-way audio, as well as record video if you need to. We also see the motion sensor here down the bottom corner, and we have the ability to turn on the spotlight. Now, if we swipe over here, we have just a few other settings. There's the light settings where we can adjust the brightness if we want, and some other light settings there. Let's see, let's go back. We're going to go up in the top right corner here, hit a little settings icon. And of course, right at the very top, we have device information where we click on that if we want to change the name. Let's see, we got alert notifications. I'm going to leave those enabled here. Device share. If you want to share the device with other Cloudedge users, that's where we will modify that here. Location management. This kind of allows us to change the room assignment. So when we first set it up, you could tell it what room this camera was going to be in, and that became part of their location management settings right there. Under time settings, it defaults to 24-hour clock. You can set it to just 12 hours if you prefer. Image settings. Now you can change the hertz under anti-flicker if you want. I'm going to leave it the default setting for now. Let's see, we can flip the image. Depending on how you have the camera mounted, you can also change the settings for night mode. I'm going to leave that for auto as well. Sound settings. It allows us to adjust the microphone and speaker, for using the two-way audio. Here is the light settings again. This is pretty much the same thing as what we looked at earlier. Let's see, under alert management is where we can adjust the motion detection if we need to. I like to have mine kind of set right in the middle. That's usually a pretty good spot. Let's see what we got here with battery management. I don't think we want to change anything here. With this being hooked up to a solar panel, it should stay pretty charged as long as we got sunlight. Recording management. Now this will show you the capacity of that SD card if you have one installed. We don't currently do, but it should have been listed here. Lastly, you can upgrade the firmware if you need to. It looks like mine is already on the latest version. Let's go ahead and move on to that last step, and I will give you my final thoughts. All right, so final thoughts. First things first, I got a nighttime camera feed and daytime camera feed right here, and you can see it has a pretty decent image. It doesn't look bad at all. For me, I think I would probably want to look for something different. This camera does not have any RTSP or OnVIF support, so that makes it difficult if you want to get this thing added into Home Assistant or maybe even use it with HomeKit. It really limits your capabilities, and unfortunately that seems to be the norm with most battery-powered cameras. It's really hard to run RTSP or OnVIF on a battery camera just because it drains the battery so quickly. But of course, not being able to get it into Home Assistant is kind of a pain for me because I like having everything monitored and managed by Home Assistant. If you were going to use cameras that were supported by the Cloudedge app and you had several of those cameras, then this camera will probably work just fine because you can add it to that Cloudedge app with all of your other ones, and you'll probably not have any kind of issue there. If you're new to the Cloudedge app, you don't already have cameras set up with it, then it makes this item a little bit more difficult because of the fact that it uses a whole nother app. But if you're curious as to what other products Euki carries, I'll have a link in the description below. Head down to their website, check it out, see what other products they currently have running. They also have an Amazon store, and I'll link that in there as well. If you're not interested in this camera, maybe you'll find something else.
As always, I want to thank everybody for donating to my Buy Me a Coffee link. Every little bit helps. If you haven't had a chance, jump over to my spring merchandise page and check out all the Burns home automation merchandise. If you're looking for new smart home gear, check out SMONet. I'll have a link in the description below. You jump over to their website and see what deals they currently have running. And if you're interested in buying and selling stock or maybe cryptocurrency, check out Robinhood. I'll have a link in the description below for that as well. And if you sign up with that link, you and I both will get a free share of stock. It's a win-win for both of us. If you liked the video, please subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comments below. As always, if there are any videos out there that you would like to see that I don't already have out there, let me know in the comments as well. I'll see if I can get something put together for you guys. Otherwise, see you guys around.